A nation is born stoic and dies Epicurean. It's one of my favorite quotes and one of the most true quotes as well. A stoic person is a person who can endure great hardship without showing feelings of hardship. An Epicurean means fond of or adapted to luxury or indulgence in sensual pleasures, or having luxurious tastes or habits. Now, this quote by Will Durant basically says that nations start off strong and disciplined as they strive towards their goals. Then when they reach them, people become more lazy and lackadaisical, and then that starts a decline. Another quote that comes to mind is, strong men create good times create weak men create hard times, and the whole thing just cycles back and forth. As I've been learning more and more about how the world works, the economy and everything, it seems like everything operates from a cycle. The first quote fully encapsulates the subjects of this video, which is artificial intelligence, or AI, as well as your own innate organic intelligence. If you didn't know, AI was created to replace jobs that we humans do so we can spend our time or intellectual capital on things that are more important to us. And if you look at that through the context of the quote, a nation is born stoic and dies Epicurean, we've been building up AI for about a century now, just different AI models, so that we can eventually get to a point where it's doing our work for us so we can just sit back and chill, or like I said, enjoy things that are more important. And important is subjective. Sometimes that's not being lazy, sometimes it is. It just depends on the person. And our organic intelligence, which we're going to talk about more here, is what we were born with. And I believe it was given to us by our creator. So in this video, we're going to be talking about artificial intelligence and organic intelligence, the advantages and limitations of both, and how you can combine them to create superintelligence. And at the end of the video, if you stick around, I'll give you my opinion on how I think AI is going to impact the world in the short to long term, because I hear a lot of crazy things going around, so I just want to give my perspective as well. So the definition of artificial intelligence is the simulation of human intelligence processes by computers and machines, aka lines of code that can be programmed to do certain tasks. And you can put artificial intelligence into a machine, you can put it into a robot, anything that is electronic pretty much. Like you can use artificial intelligence in a watch, we already have it in our phones, our computers, our refrigerators, our appliances, the list goes on and on. And organic intelligence, which was coined by my partner at Know It Owls, Kenny, aka Lord Bizzle. We actually wrote a book on the differences between organic intelligence and artificial intelligence and how you can combine the two. We don't have a title for it yet, but be on the lookout for that. I will announce it once the book goes on sale, and we're going to make it into a course as well. I digress. Organic intelligence is defined as our connection to source energy, or God. It's that spiritual side of us, or our intuition. And you may be thinking, our ideas come from our brain because we're always learning new things and our brain plays with that data and it draws new conclusions from it. And that's the serendipity we get. That's our intuition. It comes from things we learn, not from an actual source. Or you may think that we get our ideas from our environment, because I do believe thoughts stimulated environment. And I made a video on how pretty much every technological invention came from nature. So there are other ways we get ideas, but I do believe there is an intuition that we get directly from source. This is why I always tell my team, to say that you had a great idea is kind of selfish in a way, because I believe that ideas come from, source, and they get implanted into our head, and then we can vocalize that idea. So I always tell my team, don't get romantic over your idea. It's your job to be in tune, right? Get that idea, put it out on the table so that we can all stress test it to see if the idea is actually good or not. Okay, now this is a very touchy subject. Some of you may believe that there is no God, or that we came from the Big Bang Theory, or you believe in the theory of evolution and that we evolved from monkeys, or whatever the case is. There are many theories to try to guess where our existence started and how humans came to be. And everyone is entitled to their own opinion. But for the context of this video, I feel that it's important for me to let you guys know why I believe we have a creator, because it'll make this video make a lot more sense. And to me, it's also the most logical conclusion. Okay, so this is why I think there is a God, for sure. Us humans are still by far the most intelligent machines or creation on this earth. Now, if you go outside and look at a car, let's say it's a Tesla. Go outside and look at a Tesla. You don't go and think to yourself, oh, this Tesla came from an explosion from metals and they just kind of formed together over time to where we can hop in and drive it. Or that it evolved from evolution, or from nature eroding rocks away, and whatever the case may be. No, it has tires and a steering wheel vehicle and seat belts. And speaking of humans being the most intelligent creation, a lot of inspiration for how a car works came from our human body. For example, we have blood circulating in our body to make sure we can do everything. And that's the same function that oil serves for a car. So if a car has, oil and engine, all these moving parts, doors that open and close seamlessly, etc., you know that humans obviously created vehicles. Now, if you look at us, something that's way more intelligent than a car, we have a consciousness, which still isn't understood fully by scientists. And they've been trying to grasp consciousness for years, centuries probably. We have a heart, organs, blood, bones, ligaments, joints. We're able to walk, we're able to talk, like all these different things. When you look at it from that perspective, it is, in my opinion, very illogical to think that we evolved from, amoebas laying in a pool of grass and then eventually, whatever the case may be, or some explosion, and now it exploded blood into our bodies and we have these bones and joints and it exploded our consciousness to form together. To me, that just makes no sense. And hey, comment down below why you think there is no God or whatever. Like, I try to keep my mind open and I try to keep strong opinions weakly held. So if there's a more logical conclusion, I will adopt that. But this is the best thing I got so far. So now that we covered all that, let's look at the advantages and disadvantages of organic intelligence and artificial intelligence. So the first thing we're going to cover is our evolution. So we're going to start with organic intelligence. So organic intelligence, the cognitive abilities to think, reason, evaluate, and so on are built into human beings by their very nature. And like I said, in my opinion, I do believe in God, I do believe in Jesus Christ, and I believe that God made us in the image of himself, right? And then he made us creators, and I believe that we made artificial intelligence in the image of ourselves. Like if you look at robots, they look like humans. We're trying to get them to talk so we can communicate with them. It's like what God did for us, we're trying to do for our artificial intelligence. And if you look at the evolution of artificial intelligence, or AI, all of AI's reasoning faculties were created directly by us. So now let's look into purpose. The purpose of human intelligence is to combine a range of cognitive activities in order to adapt to new circumstances and maintain a comfortable life. Now, comfortability is subjective. Some people are comfortable in chaos. Some people are comfortable chilling on the beach. It just depends on what it is. And we have to use our faculties to try to hone in or align ourselves with our idea of comfortability. The goal of artificial intelligence is to create computers that are able to behave like humans and complete jobs that humans would normally do and bring costs down. So all artificial intelligence were created for certain purposes. So they're like really, really good at one thing or a few things that they're programmed to do, but they're not like a human and have like a wide range of capabilities. And we'll dive into that more. The next category is functionality. So when it comes to organic intelligence, people make use of the memory, processing capabilities, and cognitive talents that their brains provide. Different people have different dominant functionality modalities. Now, to elaborate on this, there's a good book that I read. Well, it was a good book because I learned a lot, but man, it was a drag. So if you read it, just be ready for a long, dry read. The book is called The Theory of Multiple Intelligences by Howard Gardner. And the theory is basically that humans have innate capacities that make them better at certain things. So the categories were linguistic, which I feel like I'm really, really gifted in, musical intelligence, logical and mathematical intelligence, bodily kinesthetic, which is manipulating your body to do things or manipulating your body to manipulate an object to attain a certain goal. Spatial intelligence, which is being able to see things super clearly in your mind. And I don't know if you guys know about Nikola Tesla, but he was known to have a really good spatial intelligence. All his inventions, he can see clearly in his head and flip them upside down and turn them around and still like hold that vision. And a lot of good chess players hold this as well because they have to keep an image of the board in their mind as they're thinking 7 steps ahead. So like, all right, I move this, he moves that, he moves this, I move that. Like being able to hold that is spatial intelligence, which I also feel I'm really good at. And you have nature intelligence that, people like sailors use and people who like live on the land. And you have intrapersonal and extrapersonal, which are intelligences about you and empathy for others. So intelligence is vague. It's like saying, oh, I have a car. So many different kinds of cars. Some are used for racing, some are used for hauling things. In my opinion, intelligence is not only the ability to be able to reason, it's also the ability to be able to pull relevant material from memory and to deploy attention when needed. And if we look at the functionality of AI, it's the processing of data and commands is essential to the operation of AI-powered devices. It's able to work with data that's encoded into it or external data that it has access to, probably via an API. It can't draw conclusions from intuition. I want to elaborate on this point as well. It's the same thing with how God created us. He gave us different spiritual gifts. Some people are better at leadership. Some people have clairvoyance. Some people are better at discernment. Some people are naturally stronger with their body or good at math. Normally you see these things as a child. Like Warren Buffett knew he wanted to be an investor as a child. And it's the same thing with AI. We create AI to fit a certain purpose. Like we'll create an AI to help drive a car with the self-driving cars, or we'll create an AI to pick a time in the market when we want to buy and sell, trading algorithms. It's the same thing with how God made us with certain skills and abilities. That's the same way we made AI. Let's keep going. Next category is speed of operation. So starting with organic intelligence. As a general rule, when it comes to speed, humans are no match for AI or robots. Obviously, this depends on what the task is. But like I said, AI is made for certain things. So whatever that certain thing is, it's going to be able to do that better 9 times out of 10. Then you have things like Six Sigma, which is I think 3 defects per 1 million units or something like that. Humans usually aren't able to accomplish things like that, but AI is. And then when it comes to speed, humans are no match for artificial intelligence or robots when it comes to the tasks that it was created for. We just kind of covered that. So now let's go to learning ability. For organic intelligence, the basis of human intellect is acquired via the process of learning through a variety of experiences and situations. We humans still can't grasp exactly what consciousness is. And then if we look at AI, due to the fact that robots are unable to think in an abstract manner or make conclusions based on the experiences of the past, they are only capable of acquiring knowledge via exposure to material and consistent practice or testing, although they will never create a cognitive process that is unique to humans. I want to talk about our learning ability more and just kind of elaborate on that. Another thing that I realized I left out in there is that I believe we learn from absorbing data from all of our 5 or 6 senses, depending on what you believe. So we have a subconscious mind that stores every sense impression. So everything we've ever seen, everything we've ever heard, everything we've ever tasted, everything we've ever smelt, everything we've ever felt, right? You can all think of a memory of something you've heard, saw, smelled, tasted, touched, etc., etc. Us humans have dominant sense impressions. Like some people are more visual learners. Some people learn better through hearing things. Some people have to get out there and touch things. Now let's talk about decision making. And we're going to start with organic intelligence again. So it is possible for subjective factors that are not only based on numbers to influence the decisions that humans make. Everyone's emotions and genetic code is different. And their emotions and genetic code act as a filter in their decision making. A person who is more emotional is more likely to act out on emotion and be more reactive versus responding, as an example. Doctors and detectives train very hard to make a decision with all of the relevant evidence when it seems as if you can make the right call with just a little bit of evidence. However, there are ways to use our heart to discern between true and false, but I'll save that for another video. Now, when it comes to AI, because it evaluates based on the entirety of the acquired facts, AI is exceptionally objective and non-biased when it comes to making decisions. And again, these decisions are only as it pertains to the thing that it was programmed for. So if something changes and is outside of their programming, they still may make the right decision based off of what they were programmed, but it might not be the best decision overall because there are factors that change that the AI wasn't aware of because it wasn't programmed into it. Okay, moving on. Now let's talk about perfection. So for organic intelligence, when it comes to human insights, there is almost always the possibility of a human mistake, which refers to the fact that some nuances may be overlooked at some time or another. Us humans, when it comes to doing like mundane tasks, let's say you had to solve a Rubik's Cube 1,000 times in a row. Even if you know how to solve a Rubik's Cube 1,000 times in a row, it's still gonna be like annoying. Your fingers are gonna start to hurt. You're gonna wanna do something else because we have brain juice, and the more we use our brain, it kind of wears down, just like a battery. The more you use it, it starts to decrease, and then you have to charge it, which is us sleeping or taking a break or meditating, whatever you want to call it. However, the fact that AI's capabilities are built on a collection of guidelines that may be updated allows it to deliver accurate results regularly. So if an AI had to solve a Rubik's Cube 1,000 times, as long as it's plugged into the wall and the battery's charged, it's going to do it because it doesn't have emotions, it doesn't have feelings, it's not going to get burnt out, it's just going to do what it's programmed to do. Moving on, let's talk about adaptability. The human mind is capable of adjusting its perspective in response to the changing conditions of its surroundings. Because of this, people are able to remember information and excel in a variety of activities. Versus artificial intelligence, it takes a lot more time to adapt to unneeded changes, and they're only good at what they're programmed to do. So, I've been saying this throughout the whole video, AI can only do what it's programmed to do, and humans, we can do a lot of things. So it's just like, you can program your AI to be a trading bot, but that AI isn't going to know how to drive a car unless you program it to do it. Or it won't be able to regulate the temperature in your refrigerator or turn off your Wi-Fi when you're not at home. Like, artificial intelligence in a way is kind of like a savant for what it's programmed to do. All right, moving on to the last one, social networking. So humans are superior to other social animals in terms of their ability to assimilate theoretical facts, their level of self-awareness, and their sensitivity to the emotions of others. This is because people are social creatures. At the end of the day, we're wired as social creatures, just like machines are wired to communicate with each other. Artificial intelligence, on the other hand, has not yet mastered the ability to pick up on associated social and enthusiastic indicators. So right now, and Facebook is doing a lot of work in this area, we have artificial intelligence with high amounts of IQ, just being able to reason, take a task, and do it. But the EQ isn't up to par yet. And EQ is essentially emotional intelligence. So it's just like, if I do like this, you're going to be like, okay, something's bothering him. Or if I smile, you're going to be like, oh, he's happy. Like, we're able to pick up on certain facial features, assuming that we're not autistic, once people make a facial expression, or if they do something with their body language. AI isn't quite there yet. Okay, so now that we talked about the advantages and disadvantages of AI and organic intelligence, let's talk about how to combine the two so that you can harness the power of superintelligence and become the most efficient human being you can possibly become. Okay, so I like to look at this through the perspective of AI being a tool. AI is a tool just like anything else. God created tools for us to use, just like we created AI as a tool. Like, for example, God created rocks and sticks, and we can use rocks and sticks to make a fire pit and set the sticks on fire so we can warm up some food to feed our family and prolong their life. Or we can use a rock and a stick to bash them over the head with and kill them. It depends on our motivation. Like, tools aren't good or bad, it's the person who's wielding that thing. And there are certain tools that make us more efficient, right? And when I say efficient, it helps us do something faster, and it helps us preserve our body. An example, construction equipment. We could go and try to build a house and use a shovel and just keep digging and digging a hole, or, a wrecking ball. Like, let's say we want to tear down a skyscraper. Like, yeah, we can go and just keep beating the thing for years. I don't even know if that would work. Or we can just hop in a dump truck or a wrecking ball truck and move the little tools around, and then the wrecking ball would destroy the building, and then we can use a bulldozer to dig holes way faster than we can to shovel, and we can get work done in a few months that will take us maybe decades, to be honest, depending on what you're building. So I'll just name off some random things that AI is better at than us that'll help us become more efficient. So processing and calculation, like using a calculator, unless you have that logical mathematical intelligence, it depends on who you are as a person. Like, if your brain is so good that you know what 375,000 times 461,000 plus 61 minus 740, and you can do that in your head, then you're doing yourself a disservice by grabbing a calculator if the number comes to you before you can grab it. So it depends on who you are. You got to know your strengths and weaknesses. Handling data and mundane tasks, like we talked about AI not being burnt out, like the whole Rubik's Cube example, and it just needs to be plugged into a wall. So things like that. Other ways you can use AI to access super intelligence is using something called chatgpt. Chatgpt is almost like Google, but on steroids. And I'm sure you've heard about it by now. It's the fastest growing app in history. They're fastest to reach 100 million users. And that thing can help you create content. It can write emails for you. It can write contracts so you don't have to go to a lawyer. It can write code for you. It can build you a website. Like anything you can imagine, it can do. And there's even AIs out there now where you can take a picture of your refrigerator and the foods that you have in it, and you can tell the AI to give you a few recipes, or it can give you a workout plan. You give it your workout goals. It's like your little personal assistant or mentor, but you kind of have to know what prompts to give it. So I'm going to show you how to find websites that can help you find an AI to do something to save you some time. You can thank me later. So this first website is called there'sanaIforthat.com. This is essentially a AI aggregator. So 3,103 AIs for 842 different tasks. It's updated daily. So you can literally go on here and search for different AIs. So let's say I need 3D animation for a video ad. So I was loading and it gives you all of these different AIs that you can check out, right? So let's say I click on this one. I've never been to this website, but I'm just showing you guys, how you can do this here. This website allows you to do things like with your real life body, and it turns it into an animation. So you can, like, if you need like a 3D animation of a cartoon and you don't have the money to pay someone to do it, you can act it out yourself and use this. Most of these are free. It'll make it for you. So now you don't have to go and pay someone to do this whole thing to get like a Pixar style ad. Here's another AI aggregator, futuretools.io, and you can look for AIs for different things. But yeah, same thing here. Let's say I want to do some content creation. So it gives me 38 different AI tools here. Look at this, like the world we live in. Okay, now let's get to the last part of the video. If you stuck around this long, I appreciate you, and I ask that you consider subscribing. Let's talk about how I think AI is going to impact the short to near term future. Okay, so I want to talk about the concept of exponential growth. Our brains cannot quantify exponential growth. And I'm trying to figure out if AI has reached it yet, or if it's getting close. No one knows because everyone's out here building it separately. The fact of the matter is that small changes appear to make no difference until a critical threshold is reached. For example, let's say you have ice sitting in a freezer and you raise it 1 degree, right? So all the way from 1 degree to 33 degrees, nothing's gonna happen. But as soon as it hits 33 degrees, that ice is gonna start slowly melting. Same thing with cancer taking over your body. At first it's really, really, really slow. Then it hits a critical threshold and it takes over extremely fast. Now, same thing with a penny doubling every day for a day. Like, would you rather have a penny double every day for a day or $1 million? Let's look at something here. This is exponential growth at play. Day 1, you have a penny. Then you have 2 cents, 4 cents, 8 cents, 16 cents. On day 15, you have $163. You're probably wishing you had the $1 million. Day 16, 327. Day 19, 2,000. Day 23, 41,000, 83,000, 167,000. And then it just keeps doubling till on day 30, you have $5,368,709.12. You see how the small changes appear to make no difference until that critical threshold was reached? I'll show you another example. If you were to go outside your door and take 30 steps, you can probably imagine or quantify where you'll be, in front of your house or in front of the neighbors. But what if I asked you to go outside and take 30 exponential steps? Meaning your steps double every time. If you did that, you will literally walk around the earth 26 times. You're probably like, oh shit, I had no idea it'd be that much. I thought the same thing when I first heard this. Our brains cannot quantify exponential growth. We're gonna get to a point where AI reaches that critical threshold, and then the advancements just are gonna seem crazy. And it seems like we hit that right now with ChatGPT and all these different AI aggregators, but I don't know. Only time will tell. In regards to how I think it will impact the economy and everything like that, I think there's going to be a creative destruction process. And I think the people who know how to harness AI and bring that value to companies are going to be the people with the jobs. Like I said, humans are social creatures. So AI will, at the end of the day, it's a tool. It will never replace everything. Like, this is a crypto channel here. And I know a lot of Bitcoin maxis that's like, Bitcoin's going to replace the dollar and gold. While I think it can replace gold, I don't think it's going to replace the dollar because the dollar is a medium of exchange. It's supposed to be stable, right? So you have people who get passionate about something and think it's just going to take over everything. Bitcoin isn't even competing with the dollar. Okay? It's the same thing with AI. They're competing with humans, but not in the way you think. There's not going to be a day where it's like, oh yeah, I won't go over my buddy's house. I'll just talk to my AI and that'll be good. Like, no. We're social creatures. We want to get around the fire and tell stories. We've been doing that since the beginning of time, and that's not going to change. However, AI is going to replace a lot of things that humans do, because at the end of the day, and this may sound effed up, for companies, a lot of times, humans are also just tools, except for certain key personnel. And even then, they're still tools. So, moral of the story, learn how to harness the power of AI so you can become more efficient. And imagine if you're working at a marketing agency and you're using Midjourney to come up with, just beautiful AI, or you're a copywriter and you're tired one day and you can't think of a lot of ad copy. You go on chatgpt and just have it come up with copy for you. It remembers who you are. So the more you talk about a subject with it, the more it learns, the better it's able to give you ideas and feedback. This is the future. Okay, harnessing AI so you can create super intelligence and become more efficient, because the whole goal is to be able to enjoy things that are important to you. For me, that's family and nature. So, and exploring my spiritual capabilities, like my favorite thing to do. So with that, I thank you so much for watching this video. I know it was probably long. Click the link in the description to apply to get into the Know What Owls Discord. We are leading the charge with yield farming and AI. So we love to meet you and love to have you involved. But with that, I thank you so much for tuning in. I love every single one of you, and I will see you in the next video.